Wednesday, February 18th, 2026. You are listening to the Daly Dose Sports Podcast, and I am your host, Clint Daly, coming to you from the Mile High City here in Denver, Colorado, and we are back for another week of talking sports with a dose of common sense. Hey, happy Wednesday to you. Hope you had a good weekend. Hope your week is going well. Hope that you, your family, your friends, you're all staying strong, and you are all staying healthy right now. And I hope that you enjoyed the NBA All-Star Game festivities over this past weekend. You know, the NBA All-Star Game stuff is bad when the NBA media comes out this past Monday and tells you, you know, it wasn't that bad. The players sometimes even played hard. They tried sometimes. I mean, I even saw them commit a few fouls. The games or whatever they weren't, it wasn't really an all-star game. It was like a few different games. I don't know exactly what they did, but they were like, well, the games were kind of close. It really wasn't that awful. I was expecting terrible, but it wasn't that terrible. Is this what we're saying now? So glad we're setting the bar so high for the NBA. Okay, but maybe you did enjoy the NBA All-Star Game. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you enjoyed, I don't know, the Daytona 500, where now they're just allowing drivers to crash each other in hopes of causing a big fight and a last lap melee, which is what happened there. You know, NASCAR loves that. Or maybe you were just watching the Winter Olympics or even college basketball. I hope whatever it is you're watching, that you were enjoying this short stretch that we have right now, where we've got a few different things to watch now that football is over. Hey, we might as well enjoy it while we have it, right? Hey, today on The Dose. Yes, I know, like I said, football is over.
Over? Did you say over? Nothing is over until we decide it is.
I want to wrap up the 2025 NFL season in true Daily Dose fashion. And in fact, we have so much to get to, we need to jump in right now. Joining us this week on the Daily Dose, we have our illustrious panel of NFL experts to wrap up this NFL season. I know it ended last week, and I know people are already moving on. They're talking about, I don't know, the NBA dunk contest or something right now. We're not doing that. We're going to actually recap the NFL season because, let's be honest, more NFL is better than less. First up, we have president of the Daily Dose I-Team that finds the stories that no one else can find, West Virginia Mountaineer and disappointed Philadelphia Eagles fan, Big Rob. Rob, do you blame head coach Nick Sirianni or wide receiver A.J. Brown for the Eagles' demise?
Both. They equally share the blame.
That's fair. That was a partnership. You could see in that playoff game, came off the side, they get into it, and I just went, well, it doesn't look good. It looks like it's going poorly. Next up, we have Mike in Castle Rock out on those Colorado plains. Mike, our Denver Broncos totally overachieved this year. Why don't we feel better?
It might be because of the way they won a lot of those games.
Yeah, maybe so.
I mean, and against bad teams, they played to their competition
every week,
except for Jacksonville. Every week they played to their competition. You know, you go across the pond and you score 11 points against the Jets or whatever that awful game was.
Had to bunt in a home run. Yes.
Oh, I mean, it was. That might be why. Is just
maybe so.
Last year though we lost all those games, so that is a step forward. But played a last place schedule or second to last place schedule, and next year it's a first place schedule. So that's part of it.
Gonna ramp up for sure. Finally, we have the wild and wily, savvy veteran and Bronco fan and DU pioneer and sometimes Utah Ute, Larry from Centennial. Larry, you told me a few weeks ago snow was coming. What in the world happened? Where did it go? We didn't get it. Are they getting it up in the high country? I don't know. I'm not getting any.
We got a whopping 2 inches over the weekend in the mountains.
Is there something we can do? Is there some sort of dance?
There is no dance.
Toilet?
There is. Well, if I told you there was a dance, would I get you to do it?
Maybe.
We are holding out for late season March and April skiing. So don't Don't give up just yet, my friend.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping for, because I mean, I'm not really someone that goes to Temple, but if that's what I have to do to get the snow to fall, I know, there are people that can control that weather. Maybe that's something we need to do. Gentlemen, if I had bet that an Indiana quarterback would win the Heisman, Indiana would win the national championship, and Sam Darnold would win the Super Bowl, how many houses could I have won? I could have won all the houses,
All of them.
right?
A lot. A lot.
We knew it was a wild year. We knew it was a crazy year. We've talked about it all year. We talked about it at the beginning of the year. This could be a wide open free-for-all that no one can predict, and that's exactly what we ended up with. Of course, the Seattle Seahawks won Super Bowl 60 over the New England Patriots in dominating fashion in a game that put most everyone to sleep. Did anyone stay awake for the whole thing?
I was awake. I was awake, but
okay.
I was barely awake.
Yeah, it was tough.
It was hard.
And what was crazy is the fourth quarter actually finally saw a little bit of action, but by then, who cares? Like, you already knew the outcome. It didn't matter. So it was just one of the most boring Super Bowls ever. And I'm okay with the defensive game. I'm okay with a well-played defensive game. That wasn't what we got. We got bad offense. We got terrible quarterback play. That was not a fun Super Bowl on any level. And Rob, I'll be honest, I would have rather had the Eagles in. It would have been more fun to watch, at least.
Yeah. Like you said, it wasn't super slow first half. I think it was all field goals and just, like you said, it was outside of a couple of nice blitz packages. I mean, there was really, really nothing going on in that first half.
No, Mike, you and I were talking from the very beginning, and even though it was like, 3-0, 6-0, we were like, it feels like the dam is about to burst and this is going to get ugly, and it did. That's exactly what happened. I don't know what New England was thinking.
Well, I don't know. I mean, Will Campbell, that was rough. I don't know. Everybody was calling New England out for having the easiest schedule since 1999.
Yeah. And
they had the worst offensive postseason performance of a team to get into the Super Bowl pretty much ever. And boy, did it come to roost. It was just so bad. The AFC Championship game, they were gifted a touchdown. Otherwise, they don't score other than a field goal. That was just so bad. I think they were overhyped all year, and it definitely showed.
Yeah, it did. And you wonder, was Drake May injured? Was that a problem? I know they were talking about the shoulder being a problem. He certainly couldn't throw it. That was horrifying to watch. But man, I never saw an adjustment. I never saw hey, we know the pressure's coming. We're going to give him some really quick throws to get rid of the ball, get it out of his hands. They never did that. Josh McDaniels stood over there and was just like, I don't know, I guess this is just what we're going to do. It just very bizarre. Okay, prior to the Super Bowl, though, the Pro Football Hall of Fame announced their latest class of inductees. The class will be led by quarterback Drew Brees, one of just two quarterbacks to throw for over 80,000 yards in his career. Wide receiver Larry Fitzgerald gets in. He finishes his career second only to Hall of Famer Jerry Rice in career receptions and receiving yards. Linebacker Luke Kuechly, kicker Adam Vinatieri, and running back Roger Craig will be the rest of the finalists there. But people we will not be seeing go into the Hall of Fame will be New England Patriots head coach Bill Belichick, who was a finalist on the coaches subcommittee, and New England Patriots owner Robert Kraft, the finalist for the contributors subcommittee. I'm going to go around the horn and I'm going to ask each of you, Rob, why were they both left out?
As I understand it, it's the voting process, or at least that's what they're saying. The way the
that's
votes
what they're saying.
Go. But maybe just a little bit of hateration there. Could have been a little bit of part of it.
A little bit of spite might have been mixed
Just
in with that. Mike, you see anything different there?
Not really. I mean, it goes to show you that the human element comes in a little bit too much with it, rather than just looking at the product. They take a broader view. The fact that, their kicker gets in and neither the coach or the owner gets in. I don't know. It's call it political, call it whatever. I don't know. He's not the most charming person, but I can't stand the guy. But I don't know how he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Larry, do you have any insight as to why those voters might have left these two guys off the ballot?
I don't, other than what these fellows have said. Well, one other thing.
Okay, let's have it.
The cheating scandal, right? I mean, a head coach is the CEO, and what happens on it seems like a very, very long time ago, but those things did happen. I don't know how they impacted the game, but they served hefty penalties for them. So,
yeah.
And there is something to say, if you want to be liked by the NFL, which includes the Hall of Fame, right? Bill Belichick never went, any farther than he had to PR wise. So, and you have to live with that if you're him. And I don't know. I haven't heard him complaining about it. So I don't know if he, expects it or what. But you live with your actions, and that may be one of them.
Maybe
I was really surprised. I mean, if you look at Kraft's track record and what he did with the Patriots,
very impressive.
Not unlike somebody in our town. He deserves to be in, and he'll be in. He'll be in.
Yeah, it's a matter of time. It's kind of a slap on the wrist. Mike, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say maybe in a few years he'll get in for his girlfriend's 21st birthday.
That is fair. Rob, they won't do this to Tom Brady, right?
No, I don't think so. I think Brady gets in right away because I think there is something to be said for, it is a coach and an owner, which is a little bit different from a player. And then also going back to the voting system too, which people have talked about this before, but the tier system is something that, probably would help. I think it's like we turn into like a first ballot Hall of Famers, kind of how we try to, differentiate just everybody being in the Hall of Fame. And like I said, I know it's been mentioned before, if you kind of have levels to it, I think that would help out a lot.
I am all for levels. I have said, and I've said it here on the dose, you've got kind of the pyramid going, the best of the best go to the top. Even, you look at baseball, you've got the steroid guys. Hey, the steroid guys should be in. Mark McGwire should be in. Sammy Sosa should be in. We know that. Should they be maybe in the basement behind the beaded curtain that you have to walk through that you kind of, what section is this that you all act surprised that you're walking in? Maybe, but they're in. I mean, I would be fine with that kind of a tiered system. I don't have any problems with that. I wouldn't think Brady would get held up by this. Maybe this is just a wacky coincidence that it was just, the format that it is. Maybe it just happened to be both of those guys. Or maybe they're like, hey, we know you did something. We know you guys were cheating, and you weren't cheating one time. You're cheating a few times, and you got caught a few times. Yeah. So it probably happened more maybe than even we know. But I still go back to this. When they hammered them as much as they did, for the Deflategate stuff, that wasn't the judgment of hey, stop doing that. That was a judgment of, hey, I've told you before, stop doing that. And you smack the kid's hand. That was not hey, whatever. I know you guys just slipped up. That was I'm angry because I keep telling you to stop doing it and you won't stop doing it. That totally read of that to me. Okay. We're going into this offseason. Season is now over. Going into the offseason, we had a number of head coaches get moved. I want to go through the list here real quick, and then I'm going to go around the horn and see which hires you like and maybe which hires you don't like. But we had 10 coaching hires and fires. Let's go through these very quickly. The Arizona Cardinals fired Jonathan Gannon, and they hired Rams offensive coordinator Mike LaFleur. The Atlanta Falcons fired Raheem Morris and hired Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski. The Baltimore Ravens fired longtime coach Jim Harbaugh and hired Chargers defensive coordinator Jesse Minter. The Buffalo Bills fired longtime head coach Sean McDermott and promoted offensive coordinator Joe Brady to the head job. The Cleveland Browns fired Kevin Stefanski and hired Ravens offensive coordinator Todd Monken. The Las Vegas Raiders fired another head coach in Pete Carroll and hired Seahawks offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak, good name, although he doesn't know how to spell it. Miami Dolphins fired head coach Mike McDaniel and hired Packers defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley. The New York Giants fired Brian Daboll and hired Ravens head coach Jim Harbaugh. The Pittsburgh Steelers fired longtime head coach Mike Tomlin and hired former Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy. The Tennessee Titans fired Brian Callahan and hired San Francisco 49ers defensive coordinator Robert Saleh. Rob, that was a lot, but I'm going to throw it out to you. Is there a hire here that you look at and you go, they might have actually got a good one? That might actually be a good fit.
Yeah, for me, the last one you mentioned, Titans hiring Robert Saleh. I thought he was good with the Jets, just kind of, just a bad deal because it's the Jets.
It's the Jets.
Did a good job last year as the DC there in 49ers. So this is a guy that I think can coach. Like I said, not a whole lot of talent there, but as far as coaching hires go, I think that's a good one.
Okay, I like that one. Mike, you got anything? You got anything different? What coaching hire did you like?
Yeah, I agree with Rob. I like Saleh as well. Kubiak's interesting to me. Boy, but he's kind of walking into a mess there. But I'm going to take the low-hanging fruit and say Harbaugh to the Giants. I mean, they've got good young talent. I think he could do something with it there.
You would hope so. My concern with Harbaugh is what he's had these past few years and has done nothing with. And now I'm starting to go, is he what we thought well, I'm not so sure now. Larry, is there a coaching hire here you like?
Yeah, I'll go with Stefanski.
Okay.
I think anytime you're getting fired by the Browns, you got to look at that as a compliment, right?
It's a win. It's definitely a win.
It is a huge win. No, I think he's a good coach. I think, look, coaches get fired. Not all the time is it because of what they're doing. It's because whatever personnel they have is not that great. And I think that was absolutely the case in Cleveland. So I'll take him in Atlanta. I think they got some talent, and I think he's a good coach.
All right, Rob, we're going to flip it. Is there a coaching hire out there that you look at and just go, good luck, this doesn't seem like a good fit?
Yeah, Mike McCarthy to the Steelers. I can see where you let go of Tomlin just because you need a change, but then the guy you bring in, I don't know how much that's really going to change, or kind of just what they're looking for. So that's the one to me. Like I said, I can understand why you wanted to get rid of Tomlin despite the winning record. Just, a new voice in the locker room, that makes sense. But to replace him with McCarthy, I don't see that one.
That one confuses me. I don't get it. Maybe I'm missing it. Mike, you have a different one? What do you have for coaching hire that makes the least amount of sense to you?
I don't have a different one. That's the exact same one I was going to say. I mean, they have a history of having 3 coaches in the last 40 odd years. This isn't going to continue that streak.
No, it isn't.
This one just baffled me. I don't know what they were thinking. What, trying to pair him and Rodgers together for one more shot at glory? I don't get it.
I don't understand it in any way. Larry, what about you? Got a coaching hire you don't like?
No, because I think I don't know that any of these actually you can point to and say, fantastic, right? Like or otherwise or terrible. I don't know. And you guys are probably right about Pittsburgh. I just would say that I'm really interested in watching what happens with the Raiders.
It'll be interesting.
They just always seem to, have top draft picks that they can't do anything with. Of course, we know the guy or the guy's father fairly well. I'm assuming he knows what he's doing. But the younger green coaches that go to teams that are terrible are always fun to watch. So there's going to be a few of those.
It'll be very interesting. I have heard it compared to this, but firing Mike Tomlin and hiring Mike McCarthy feels a lot like someone pooped their pants and decided to change their shirt. Okay, moving on. We are going to move on to a few awards. I've got a few awards that I want to hand out. I've got everyone queued up. We're going to hand out a few awards. If you are going to hand out a pleasant surprise, a team that surprised us in the best way, a team that maybe overachieved or was better than expectations, Rob, who would your pleasant surprise team be this year?
I'm going to give it to Chicago Bears. Just the run they had, some of those finishes in the games. A team I think we all said would be a little bit better, with the new coach and everything. with a definite coaching upgrade. But yeah, the way they went through the season, how their season ended, that's a team that I thought was a pleasant surprise.
Definitely. Chicago was very, very improved and even better than we expected. We expected them to be better. I don't know if I expected them to be, NFC championship kind of better. Vast improvement there. Mike, what about you? Who's your pleasant surprise?
Well, low-hanging fruit, but I'm going to say the Seahawks. I mean, second year into that head coach, making the trade for Darnold, who had one good year, but previously always used to fall off. Getting rid of DK Metcalf, making a lot of changes, and boy, making it work. And that's a gauntlet of a division to go through and win the division. Oh yeah, and make it all the way to the Super Bowl. And like it wasn't a difficult Super Bowl for them, but no. I think. And it's a pretty good young team, except the quarterback's not super young, but I like what they're doing out there.
Yeah, Seattle obviously overachieved and did some huge things. You took my pick as well. I expected them to go kind of 9-8 and be kind of a middling team and maybe battle for a playoff spot. To go win the whole thing, no, impressive. And a physical team, way more physical than I expected. I give Seattle a lot of credit. Larry, what about you? Finish this off. Who's your pleasant surprise?
Well, I was going to say Chicago, but a close second would be Jacksonville.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody always thought that they had the potential to win the division and all that kind of stuff. Well, they did, and they didn't totally, mess it up. So, and had a really good season. So you got to give them a little bit of credit, thinking, that they were going to prove you wrong again, and they didn't. They performed this year. Yeah,
they did. Good call. Jacksonville belongs there. They definitely were a team that rose above expectations. Let's flip it over to the other side. Rob, who do you have as your disappointment of the year?
Yeah, a team I mentioned before, Atlanta Falcons. Had all the talent in the world, and especially with that division, I just think they could have been way better. Should have had a way better season than they did. And so that's definitely my biggest disappointment is the Falcons.
They come out, they're in the lead, they have the division wrapped up, just finish it, and they couldn't do any. I don't understand that. They just fell off. Early on, you're still looking at them go, okay, they're going to figure it out. They're going to rally. Nope, they're not going to do anything. Mike, who do you have as your disappointment?
Well, just because I don't like them, I want to give it to the Chiefs. They had a pretty disappointing season. The quarterback injury is a big part of it too, right?
Sure.
Of course. But overall, I gotta say the Lions. The way that they lost in the playoffs last year, getting smacked at home. You thought they would have just been chewing lead the entire offseason and ready to run the gamut, and boy, they stumbled. I don't get
Terrible.
That was to me, that was the biggest disappointment in the NFL.
That was a big one. Detroit definitely underachieved. Larry, what about you?
All good, but the Ravens are the biggest disappointment.
Yep.
They come on, in a division that is completely winnable, and to go to the playoffs, having to play those teams twice, they just didn't, and they fired their head coach because of it. So yeah, I think the Ravens for me is the biggest disappointment.
Yeah, I took the Ravens as well. Expected to be a Super Bowl contender. They didn't even make the postseason. I did not see that coming. And like you said, we expect Pittsburgh to be in the hunt. Cleveland's awful. Cincinnati's can't figure themselves out. Hey, it's a wide open road. Just go take it. And Baltimore couldn't do it. And I don't understand why, but they didn't. Hey, remember, you should be stopping by DailyDoseSports.com every week. Check out the new things we have going on over there. We have links to the podcast as well as links to new articles. If you stop by there this week, you may have seen I wrote a little bit about the NBA and the All-Star game. Might want to stop by and check that out. But you can also pick up Daily Dose gear over there. And remember, you can email the podcast at dailydosesports@gmail.com at any time. We would love to hear from you. If you reach out to us, we will be sure to respond, but we just might end up using what you send into the show. So make sure you reach out to us at dailydosesports@gmail.com. Okay, we're going to hand out a few specific awards now. And we're going to start this off. Rob, who's your dirtiest player of the year?
This was a tough one for me.
I know, it's hard.
If we were talking NBA, I would say Draymond Green. Just
of
dirty
course,
out of control
of course.
all the time.
Yes, you nailed it right there.
But I didn't really have an equivalent. So I'm going to say any player this season that spit on somebody.
Ooh, good call.
So, and that's if you got caught, Jalen Carter, Jamar Chase, or if you didn't get caught, Dak Prescott. So Anybody that's spit this season, I'm going to say dirty.
This is why we bring Rob in. He brings insight that no one else is going to give us. Excellent call on the spitting. Stop spitting on people. It's disgusting. Excellent call on the spitting. Mike, who do you have? Who's your dirtiest player?
I honestly, this could be back-to-back years for this guy. Azir Al-Shahir.
No, you're right.
For the Texans. Dirty as anything, right? I mean, you remember
he will go at your knees. He will, yes.
Yeah. He got many flags this year for unnecessary roughness. So I think he's got to be the dirtiest player in the league.
Good call. I like that one. Larry, what about you? Dirtiest player of the year. Who do you have?
Well, I took it literally. And so I'm taking the guy who's on the commercial when his mom tells him his uniform smells like hot dog water.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know who it is.
I don't know who that is either, but I know what you're talking about. And that's fair.
Yeah. So no, I did take Carter. He led the season off doing that, and it just kind of stuck in everybody's minds. I guess it's dirty, but what we don't have is a true bad guy in the league right now.
True.
Like Ndamukong, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's playing nice, I guess. Now I know, that's probably not the truth. People get into, little dust ups here and there, but
yeah, we don't really have that kind of thing. I've got a guy here. Tennessee Titans have a guy by the name of Jeffrey Simmons, 4 unnecessary roughness, 3 defensive offsides, 2 neutral zone infractions, 1 unsportsmanlike conduct, 1 encroachment, 1 illegal formation. Jeffrey Simmons had a rough year. And so for that, my dirtiest player of the year will be Stephon Diggs. We move on to most overrated player of the year. Rob, overrated player, who do you got?
Yeah, I'm going to say Drake May on this one. Not just the Super Bowl. Obviously, good season. Somehow he was runner-up for the MVP. But we have to be careful about quarterbacks in the early success. I'll use C.J. Stroud as an example.
Fair.
Early on looked like he was the guy. And then, a couple of years later, you see that, how it turned out in the playoffs. So Drake May, definitely good, but I just think the hype has moved a little too fast for him.
That's probably fair. It seemed like it really started to ramp up. You look at what he did in the playoffs, it was atrocious. And they were still like, I heard Bill Simmons talking before the Super Bowl, like, dude, Drake May is about to light the Seahawks up. And I'm like, you've been watching, right? We have eyes. He barely beat Jarrett Stidham. Okay. Mike, who's your most overrated player of the year?
Yeah, I like the Drake May pick. Maybe not quite as high profile, but just I believe last year signed a $50 million deal. Jerry Jeudy, where's he? He absolutely fleeced the Browns. I mean, come on.
Yes, he did. I don't know how he has a job. He has done such a poor job everywhere he's been. Yeah, Jerry Jeudy's getting away with some money that he probably doesn't deserve. Larry, what about you? Most overrated player?
Well, I was thought about Drake May, but and he'll get hype, and he did this year too. I also thought about C.J. Stroud because people still love him and think he's really, really good. I don't know if he is. And then I was gonna say every wide receiver who's received a big contract because they just disappear, man. Too many to name there. So I went with Baker Mayfield. Okay. I would watch him. I would hear, the great things about what he's doing in Tampa Bay. I just don't think he's of that caliber. And I think he's ranked too high in many people's opinions. So I put Baker Mayfield on
That's
there.
Probably accurate. I had to go with a guy that probably doesn't really deserve it if he hadn't got put into the Pro Bowl. But the Cleveland Browns quarterback Shedeur Sanders getting into the Pro Bowl. Again, we can just eliminate the Pro Bowl at this point. He went 3-4 as a starter. He completed 56% of his passes. That is in Tebow area. He had 7 touchdowns and 10 interceptions.
Well, you know what that means, Clint. He's going on the Cleveland Ring of Fame, beginning of next year.
He probably should. For the record, by the way, Titans quarterback, rookie Cam Ward, he completed like 60% of his passes. He had 15 touchdowns and 7 interceptions, but his dad isn't Dion. I don't understand how in the world Shedeur got it. It felt like a joke. It felt like, hey, ask the ugly girl to the prom. We'll all laugh. I don't get it. I don't understand, but something went on. Okay, Rob.
Hey.
Yeah. Did
I
you
was
do
just going to
that?
say, that's hitting kind of close to home for me, Clint.
Who asked you to prom? Oh. Rob, who's your worst head coach? We're going to hand out the worst head coach award.
For me, this was a tough one because I thought this was a good hire at the time. I'm going to say Aaron Glenn with the Jets.
That went so bad.
Yeah, I know it's the Jets, and there's a question there about just the organization and the talent, but it was just a couple games there, just questionable calls, questionable game plans. Just didn't seem like he had a good grasp on things. So for me, it's going to be Aaron Glenn.
He did some bizarre things, and I think back to the game against the Broncos when they get the ball back. He's calling timeouts. He did some things that just blew my mind. I don't know what he was doing. That was bizarre. I don't understand. Maybe he's drinking. I don't know. He's over in England. Mike, who's your worst head coach of the year?
I don't know how Aaron Glenn didn't get fired.
I don't either. He was horrible.
I'm serious.
He still has a job.
He was the worst coach of the year.
He still has a job.
He did not know what the hell he was doing.
Mind blowing.
Not to take the easy route and just piggyback on Rob. I'll say Pete Carroll. I mean, and he actually got fired, but
yeah,
good coaching history in Seattle. But boy, what happens when you go to the Raiders and just it was a dumpster fire there.
Oh, it was so bad. He looked like he just didn't even know what they were having to face him toward the field.
Yeah.
It was bad.
Yeah. He was time to go.
Yeah, for sure. Larry, worst coach of the year. Who do you have?
The one who lost a 30-point lead. Brian Daboll.
That was rough.
Yeah.
You did it here in Denver. And you were there.
And I'm sure he's a good head coach, but I saw it with my own eyes, and you give me a 30-point lead, and I could probably hold it. It's funny because you talk about that game. There was about 6 plays. If you make any of them, you still win. He didn't make any of them. I'm going to give my worst head coach to Tennessee's head coach, Brian Callahan, who that was one of the worst things I've ever witnessed. He was doing things. He didn't know when to take a timeout. Right. He didn't know when to call for a field goal. He didn't know what. I don't know. He made me kind of look at Nathaniel Hackett and be like, maybe he's not the worst head coach I've ever seen, because Brian Callahan, that was unbelievable to me. All right, we're moving forward. Rob, who was your worst quarterback of the NFL season?
I'm going to give this one to J.J. McCarthy for the Vikings.
We might go 4 for 4 on this one.
But I only say like 70% of that is him. Some of this is just the Vikings organization kind of getting rid of everybody else, Cousins and everyone, and saying, McCarthy's the guy. He's going to be
Here
fine.
You go.
So they have to take a little bit of blame for that. But J.J. McCarthy, worst QB.
Mike, you got someone any worse than J.J. McCarthy?
Actually, I do.
Justin
Fields.
Oh, Justin Fields had a rough
that game in Europe against Denver. What the hell was he doing? There were 35 other pro quarterbacks that would have beat Denver that day.
Yeah.
That's totally fair.
That was one of the worst quarterback performances I've ever seen. And I watched Geno Smith this year.
Yeah. You want to talk about a bad quarterback performance? Geno Smith leaves Seattle and they're like a 9-8, 8-9. They add Sam Darnold, get rid of him, and go win a Super Bowl. All you had to do, man, maybe the Raiders are going to be really, really good this year. Larry, who's your worst quarterback of the year?
I don't have anyone by name, but any quarterback 5'6" or smaller is my worst quarterback of the year.
Doug Flutie wins again.
And there's a few of them, right? So, whatever. I just don't understand the small quarterback infatuation.
I'm going to second Rob's opinion. J.J. McCarthy was horrible. And yes, the Vikings have to own this because they thought they could just, give him the keys and he would just drive off and win the race. which sounds like maybe you could. You got Aaron Jones, you got Justin Jefferson, you got Jordan Addison, you got TJ Hawkinson, you got a ton of weapons.
Yeah.
Holy cow. 57% completion. He was horrible, had no idea what he was doing. And now if you're the Viking, what do you do? Are you going to run it back with him this next year? Can you? I don't know. The Vikings really botched this. All right. Stonehands, worst receiver in the NFL. Go ahead, Rob. Who do you got?
This was close for me between A.J. Brown and C.D. Lamb. Ultimately, I'm going to give it to A.J. Brown, though. You can't keep talking in the media about I want the ball, give me the ball, and then when they throw it to you, you drop it. So A.J. Brown for me.
Fair. I totally agree. Mike, what do you got? Worst receiver?
Well, unfortunately, we here in Denver have 2 of the top 10. So if you grouped the Denver receivers as a group, we'd be right up there. But I just went with straight statistics, and the most drops this year was actually Jameson Williams.
Yeah, he had a bunch, and my wife had him on her fantasy team. Oops. Larry, who do you got? Worst receiver? What's your Stonehands award?
Yeah, not to pile on, Rob, but yeah, A.J. Brown. I mean, when it mattered the most, right? And that's when we're watching, so that's what kind of sticks in your mind. You can't talk that game and not back it up. So that's who I am.
I will go with Mike's earlier target, and I will go Cleveland Browns, Jerry Jeudy. Targeted 106 times, had 50 catches. That's actually pretty amazing. Jerry Jeudy is awful at football. All right, we're moving on. Who is your best free agent bust? Rob, who's your busty free agent of the year?
I went Evan Ingram on this one. And again, part of this might just be the team a little bit because there was just so much hype around, this was the guy, this was the piece we needed, and that just really didn't pan out. So I'm going to say Evan Ingram. Yeah,
Evan Ingram here in Denver. We thought he was going to come in and take over. Hey, he's going to be the next Jimmy Graham. It turned out he's more like Billy Graham. He had 1 touchdown all year. Mike, who do you have? Bust of the year, free agency-wise.
Yeah, Evan Ingram was a big one. So was Dre Greenlaw. Hoping to heal up this year because that was Huafonga was an amazing pick, but I'm actually going to double dip and say Justin Fields, free agent signing for the Jets.
That's fair.
Just coming in and being straight up garbage.
He was terrible. Larry, you got a busty free agent for us?
I have Greenlaw, right?
Do you? Okay.
Yeah. I think Ingram was a close second, and it kind of wild that Denver, I think, had, the best, I think, Hufunga, right, Mike? And then, but Ingram was bad, but I thought Greenlaw could have really made a big difference, and he just didn't really show up game over game. So
wow, we all went with Broncos. I got Evan Ingram as well. Did not go very well for the Denver free agent signings, aside from, like Mike said, Hufunga had a phenomenal season. He might have been it. Rookie bust of the year, and that was a little bit tough. But when I went through and tried to look for that, a little bit hard to find a rookie bust because how much are you really, expecting? How much are you really planning on? Rob, who's your rookie bust of the year?
Yeah, to your point, again, some of this is just the team was bad, but I went with Ashton Genty down there at the Raiders.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think, his best days are clearly going to be ahead of him.
Sure.
Like I said, that team was kind of a mess, but didn't see like a whole lot of flashes, really. I mean, in the middle of the season, like a little bit, but just kind of faded out. Like I said, a lot of that's probably with the, because of the team, but I'm going to say Genty.
Okay. Mike, rookie bust of the year, who do you have?
For where he was picked and how he performed, especially when the lights were on, Will Campbell.
Will Campbell struggled. Yeah, he was bad.
4th overall, and wow. If you're picked that high, you would expect to be average to above average, maybe as a tackle, and he got worked.
He looked like a Tyrannosaurus Rex out there trying to stay in front of people. Larry, who do you have? Rookie bust of the year.
I have Matthew Golden.
Okay.
I thought he was going to be better, as shown by my electing him on my fantasy team. But he did not. And, theoretically has, top-notch quarterback, good offense. And and where, first rounder. So
and it kind of looked like when they got him, when he went to Green Bay, you're like, oh, what a perfect fit. He's gonna go up there and explode. He didn't really do much of anything. This is totally unfair to the guy I'm gonna pick. But remember where he was taken. Again, you're talking about a top 5 pick. And the Jacksonville Jaguars had talked about playing Travis Hunter on both sides of the ball, but it turns out being 110 pounds doesn't actually lend itself to playing both ways in an NFL football game. Travis Hunter played 7 games. He had 28 catches. Honestly, defensively, he might have been worse. So, yeah, I went with Travis Hunter. He was injured. I get that. But when he was on the field, he really wasn't that impressive. Got one more award to hand out, our final award of the day. Rob, who was your it's probably time to retire guy this year?
Yeah, I think Rodgers is the safe answer, but I'm going to go off the board here, and I'm going to give you Kyler Murray.
Oh,
probably. I don't think you really want to play. You really want to be a gamer. The way the season ended, just don't come back. Just go ahead and call it.
Outstanding pick by Rob. Kyler Murray. The little fella gets lit up. Mike, who's your it's time to retire guy?
Yeah, that's a great answer, Rob. I'm going to take the low hanging fruit and say Aaron Rodgers. What are you doing? You're not going to win a Super Bowl. This isn't. I just don't know what he's doing out there. His teammates, are happy and they tackle him, and he gives the get off my lawn speech, and he's just he needs to be done.
He's a grumpy old man, that's for sure. Larry, time to retire. Who do you have that hasn't put in their resignation quite yet?
Well, I would say Rodgers, but I actually want to watch him next year struggle. So it's just fun for me,
Sure.
Travis Kelce. I don't know if he's going to want to come back next year. Maybe he will. He looks like he's having fun, but I just don't know that he can add the level of quality player that Kansas City needs. So I think it's probably time for him to retire.
Well, and he is a free agent. He's going to cost them a little bit of money if they are going to keep him. Melissa's going to give him a hometown discount. I would say Travis Kelce is not a bad guy to be looking at retirement. I went off the board as well. I considered Rodgers. I did not consider Kyler, although that is genius. Hey, we already knew it here. And maybe that's why no one on this panel picked it, because we already knew it. Russell Wilson, it is past time. Like, you are about 4 years too late. Yeah. He started 3 games this year, completed 58% of his passes. That is Shador territory. 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He went 0-3 in those games and looked horrible in those games. Russell Wilson, it is beyond time for you to give it up. A couple of things just to tie up, just to finish up and kind of start looking toward the offseason. The draft order going into this April's NFL draft, the Las Vegas Raiders are on top, so we'll see how they screw it up. The New York Jets are at number 2. I don't expect much from them either. The Arizona Cardinals are at 3, Tennessee at 4, the Giants are at 5, the Browns at 6. Washington gets the 7 pick. The New Orleans Saints get the 8 pick. The Kansas City Chiefs come in at number 9, and the Cincinnati Bengals come in at 10. I don't know that this is a great draft class. I'm not sure that it is. I think next year's will probably be way more appealing, but there is your draft order. I'm assuming that we're going to see the Raiders pick the Indiana quarterback, Fernandez. What kind of culture shock is that poor kid about to be in for? I mean, he already looks like he's homeschooled. What in the world is he going to do in Vegas? Like, he's going to be wearing his helmet out on the strip. That is horrifying to think about. A couple other things to think about. Free agents. Couple free agents that are out there. Edge rusher Trey Hendrickson, edge rusher Joey Bosa, going to be free agents. Mike Evans is wide receiver out there, along with Deebo Samuel. Well, maybe the guy who ate Deebo Samuel. I don't know. Tight end David Njoku's out there. Cornerback Trayvon Diggs. There are a few offensive linemen in free agency. Braden Smith, Jonah Williams, just to name a few. Free agency is not where you build your team. Could you get a couple of additions and maybe help your team? It's possible. And then we look at salary cap space. The Tennessee Titans right now have $99 million in cap space. The Las Vegas Raiders have $87 million. The New York Jets have $82 million. Why do I bring that up? because no one wants to go to those places. So what they'll end up doing is they'll end up overpaying on one guy to get him to come there. Hey, big splashy, news, but who cares? Because nobody wants to be there. You're not going to have any success there. At the other end of the spectrum, the Kansas City Chiefs right now are about $57 million over the cap. Okay, having said that, going to go around the horn one more time. Rob, you got a team we should be watching going into next year that you're kind of keeping an eye on that just might be a team to watch?
Yeah, I'll give you one on each side. AFC, I like the Chargers. Lots of injuries this season. Yeah. Mike McDaniel, the failed coach, I think still a good offensive mind. So they could be interesting. And then NFC side, I'm going to say Packers. I know there's still some questions about Love, but it just seems like there's enough there that they might be able to pull it together. So those are my two early watches.
Good call. I've got those both on my list actually right now. Mike, who are your teams to watch?
Yeah, I unfortunately I like the Chargers as well. If they can stay healthy, if they can keep Herbert on his feet, right? I mean, it was just unbelievable what he went through this year. And then, maybe adding a little extra wrinkle with McDaniel's OC there. They lost their defensive coordinator, but Harbaugh's not going to let that defense go anywhere. So I think they're going to be a tough out this year. I think maybe not quite to the playoffs, but I think the Giants are going to make a pretty big leap this year. If Captain Headbutt can come back to full strength and Dart I think can be a pretty good quarterback.
He might be
a great young wide receiver, some talent on the defense. They could make some noise this year.
I would agree with that. Larry, what about you? Who are the teams to watch going into
it's interesting. I had the Chargers too, right? And I didn't look at any teams, who won their divisions or anything like that because they're already, theoretically good. But the team I think I'm most interested in watching is Buffalo. Like it's
going to be interesting.
Feels, and they don't have a lot of cap space, but it feels like it's like next level do or die. They just either have to get it done or they got to blow it up. I don't know what that looks like, and I'm sure they wouldn't do that anyway. But man, how many years can you go expecting to get to the Super Bowl and win it and just not getting it done with Josh Allen? Now a head coaching change. It feels like it's all like time to go all in on this season. Yeah.
No, you're right. Buffalo sits right around $10 million over the cap right now. So they're going to have some, not that they can't change that, not that can't all of a sudden, flip. But yeah, Buffalo is going to be a team I'm very interested to watch. I'm interested to watch Jacksonville a little bit. I want to see what they're going to do in the offseason. I want to see, if they're going to bring anybody else in, because that team looked like a team. We talked about it going into the playoffs. Hey, they might be a team to be a contender. Kind of want to keep an eye on them. Mike talked about the Giants. I had them as well. And I do like the Chargers. That franchise is snake bitten, but if they could stay healthy, you upgrade the offense a little bit. Obviously, we know Harbaugh's pretty good. He's going to get them playing tough and being physical. So yeah, all those teams I think are going to be at least in it. All right, gentlemen, the NFL season is over. College football is over. It is depressing. I am sad. At least the days are starting to get longer though. And so that is a positive. Rob, do you have any closing thoughts? Do you have any bit of brightness that you can bring our way? Because now we've got a long wait until we get football again.
Yeah, I know. This is sad day.
Sad day.
March Madness.
Yeah.
Just, keep an eye on that. And then, once March Madness is over, that's when
then it's over.
That. Yeah. So
yeah, then I'm going on vacation because then I'm done. There's nothing else to do. Mike, what about you? Any final thoughts? Anything you got to put us off on into the next year on a good note?
Yeah, I mean, we're fortunate here in Colorado where we've got two other franchises, although both of them kind of stumbled into their mid-season breaks.
True.
But both are looking promising. A couple things Nuggets need to get figured out. Avs, I think, just need to get healthy, but both of them should be going deep into the playoffs. So definitely looking forward to that as a substitute from our normal football shenanigans.
It's just a rough time of year. All right, Larry, finish this up. What closing thoughts might you have? Got anything for us? Any positive news to look forward to, as we have nothing else sport-wise to look forward to for a number of months?
Wait, first pitch is right around the corner, Clint. So what are you talking about? You wanted good news.
Soccer?
Good news. Yeah, it's gonna snow. We still got more Olympics to watch. Everything's good. Like you said, days are getting longer. There's nothing to complain about.
Here is my problem with the Winter Olympics, and take this for whatever it's worth. But aside from like the skating kind of stuff, I look at all of it like, give me a few drinks and I could do it. So,
well, who's saying they're not?
Oh, I know. I'm watching curling, and if you're telling me those are athletes, trust me, I'm an Olympic athlete, because there ain't no way those people are athletes. That's a whole nother level there. But yeah, the Winter Olympics, I'm watching. I won't lie, I'm watching because there's nothing else to watch. But
can I just say one thing about the Winter Olympics?
Please do.
Pound for pound, like the athletes are about 1,000 times more attractive than Summer Olympics. Can you go ahead and say that?
I'm not opposed to that. I saw they ran out of condoms already, so I guess there's something to what Larry's saying, because my goodness.
I mean, and not just the skaters, the hot skaters, but the
speed skaters,
severely handsome, like Italian skiers. Come on, let's be honest.
Hey, I saw what that Italian pole vaulter did in the Summer Games. I don't know.
He cheated and used another pole vault.
Yeah, he had a few fans too. So I don't know. The Winter Olympics are just odd to me, but they have already run out of condoms.
It's all about sharing the body warmth, Clint.
Apparently, somebody, you got to stay warm somehow. Gentlemen, I want to thank you as usual. Appreciate all that you contribute to the Daily Dose. Can't wait to have you back again sometime soon. Hey, next week on the Dose, March Madness is coming. And I know it's not quite here yet, but it's coming quickly. Well, I'm chasing a guest that is going to bring a very unique angle on March Madness, because he has written a book about one of the greatest March Madness stars ever. Trust me, you will not want to miss it. Be sure you check out the Dose next week, and be sure you let a friend know to do the same. I want to say thank you to each member of our illustrious panel, Rob, Mike, and Larry, for their contributions to the Daily Dose. And I want to say thank you to each and every one of you for listening to the Daily Dose every week. Thank you for the emails. Thank you for the texts. Thank you for the tweets. But more than anything, thank you for sharing the show, for sharing the videos, and for sharing the articles with someone that you know. We absolutely love it when you do that. Have to say thank you to JSP. Could not do any of this without you. I will see you all next Wednesday. Have a great week, everybody.
Nothing is over until we decide it is.